Recording in progress.
All righty. All right, everybody. Minute message with Micah here. And today we're going to talk about the creation. All right, before we begin, let's have a quick word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercy that we don't deserve. Let this presentation accomplish that which you please and not return to you void. Amen. All right. Now, today we're going to talk about the creation. An introduction to biblical cosmology, the first 6 days of creation. And this is a hotly debated topic. A lot of people, and like I say, y'all are God's audience right here. Anybody who watches this, they probably cannot accept it. They cannot, they will not, because it challenges their worldview. And if y'all saw my philosophy videos, when you challenge someone's worldview, they respond in anger and hostility, and they don't want to hear it. And then they think the person telling them something contrary to what they're contrary to their worldview is a stupid one. Now, I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody. I'm just letting you know what the Bible says. All right. Like I'm reading the Bible, and I'm looking at the world around me with observable, measurable sciences, and I'm taking it from there. And that's what we're going to do. A lot of people are not going to like this. They're not going to like it, but we're going to get into it. Okay. But before we can get to our Bible right here, this is my skinless Bible here. An introduction to biblical cosmology, the first 6 days of creation. All right, here we go. All right, first, before you can even begin to open up the Bible, well, I take it back. You can just start reading, right? But a lot of people they're gonna not fully understand it. And I'm not saying I fully understand it, but I would venture to say that I have a firm grip on it. Like, I can grasp what the Bible's saying, and I can fairly, from a very simple-minded standpoint, comprehend what the Bible is getting at when you read between the lines, right? Okay, so I like this picture here. Physics, right? It's like, physics. No one cares about physics. Physics is pretty good, right? We kind of use physics every day. We just don't realize it. Like, we just don't use the formulas, right? Like when you're working on your car and this nut and bolt won't come free. Well, get a bigger wrench, get some more air flowing through your impact. It'll break. Put some lube on it, right? All that breaks up surface tension and breaks down the rust, because the rust expands between the threads of the nut and the bolt. Like, it's all physics. A longer pipe, a cheater bar to break more torque, that's all physics, right? And then it even gets down to the atomic level right here. Your positive and negative, your magnetism, that's a good one. Gravity, magnetism, atomic level, motion, sound waves, energy. I think physics, you can sum it up in one word with energy. Now, I'm no physicist, I'm no physics major, but I did take my fair share of science classes involving physics. All right, so physics. All right, so types of energy. And like I said, you can sum up physics in one word, energy. So here's the types of energy that we have. Let me move myself right here. There. All right, so thermal energy, or energy from heat, radiant energy, light energy, light, photons and stuff, chemical energy, right? Your epoxy resin, that's a chemical reaction right there. you put these two liquids together and they start to solidify. They heat up and solidify. That's chemical energy. Nuclear energy from radioactive material, electrical energy, and the free flowing of electrons. Gravitational energy. I disagree with the term, but we will go with it. We will go with it. It's density and buoyancy is what it is. And then mechanical energy. And then so, like light energy, the prism, the old brick in the wall right here, a light goes through a prism, and then out comes the 7 colors of the rainbow, the Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. We all know that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. A lot of people don't know the colors of the rainbow. It's light energy, visible light energy. And then we come over here, and this is where Micah is no expert, and I will be upfront with my lack of knowledge on this stuff. But like gamma ray, X-rays, we all heard of X-rays. We've taken our child to the doctor to get an X-ray, right? You got the ultraviolet light. I think that's like the sun, the UV rays from the sun we put on sunscreen. Infrared light, the combat soldiers use infrared. And once we get into radio waves, it's like, well, that's like TV and radio and stuff. But here's visible light. Like we look outside, we see, oh, it's a clear blue sky, or it's a sunset. You're changing the wavelength of the sun, and you get like a more orange reddish color sky, right? That's visible light we can see. And then with electrical energy, you put in, electrical power, probably from a battery, or, power generation. It turns on the light bulb. You have light and you have heat, but most of the energy is lost through the heat, right? It's not 100% efficient, if you will, right? And then we can get into perpetual motion, which for our laws that we know on Earth, it's very hard to get perpetual motion. We can come close, but we can't get 100% there, or at least we haven't yet. Or if we have, it hasn't been released to the public. That's for sure. So just things to keep in mind. We got visible light, we got light, and I don't like gravitational energy, thermal energy, chemical energy, all that good stuff. Okay. Moving on. Sound, light and sound. Now let me move myself. I'll put myself right here. So in case y'all don't know, sound, there is molecules in the air, and the air we breathe is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and the rest is just like inert gases and stuff. So sound waves, like the dog barking, creates a sound wave, and it transfers through the air, and it moves the molecules in the air. There's scientists have measured it, and we've seen, like we got programs that we use when you record a voice memo or something. It records the frequency, and I like this really be the amplitude, right? On your wavelength right here, you got the crest, I call it the peak, and then the trough, and then the amplitude is how high the crest goes from the baseline, and then you got your wavelengths from crest to crest, right? And then so AM radio is amplitude modulated, so the higher the crest goes is the frequency it's going to broadcast on, and then FM is frequency modulated, is how many cycles per second does it oscillate at, and that's what that'll broadcast on. So some AM FM radio information there. And I like this chart. It's very helpful. If your wavelength looks like this with a lower amplitude, it'll be quieter. Obviously, a higher amplitude will be louder. And then you got the low pitch and the high pitch. If it's got a real long peak, or I should say a wavelength, it's going to be a lower pitch. Whereas, the little nasal voice, squeaky, high pitched, right there. And so, and I learned this from my last working in the oil field with sound, and we've measured sound. Sound is like that. Science is been clearly defined, right? Proven. The sound wave vibrates molecules through the air. It goes to our ear, and there's little tiny bones called cochlea. The cochlea in our ears. It vibrates our little bones right there to our eardrum, and we perceive that as sound. Once you damage your hearing, it ain't coming back. It's not. It's the one thing scientists and doctors, let's say medical science, they cannot repair your hearing. But yes, sound, vibrations through the atmosphere, if you will. Okay, my mouse disappears on me. Time. We're talking about some intangible. What is time? It's not it is a very philosophical question, right? But for this presentation, for this minute message, we're not trying to look at the philosophy of time. We know the sun rises and the sun sets, right? If you have no clock, no watch, if you're, a castaway stranded on a deserted island, the sun rises, the sun sets, right? Like, all right, well, at high noon, the theory is that the sun's directly overhead. So if you have like a very small or no shadow, if there's not a lot of shadows outside, it's probably noonish, right? And I hope anybody with half a mind would know, it's definitely morning time based on the way the sun's rising. And when the sun's setting, it's like, yeah, it's definitely evening time, right? But some primitive measurements, or I should say instruments. Primitive instruments to measure time was the sundial that cast a shadow, and they made tick marks to, like as soon as the sun rises, the shadow is here. It starts here. And when the sun sets and there's no more shadow, it goes there. And so within, this span to this span, this tick to this tick, this is how much time we have in a day. And then that's a very clever instrument right there. Tip of the hat for that one. One of my personal favorites is the hourglass, just because it's very philosophic and symbolic in many ways. A sealed system with sand that, granules of sand that pass through a metered orifice. If you want to get real scientific and technical with it, you got a medium passing through a metered orifice using, I don't like the term gravity, but it's density. The grains of sand is more dense than the air that it's in, so it's going to fall through, right? But it's a metering device. So I do like the hourglass. And then as time went on, we got to more advanced methods like mechanical gears. Someone decided arbitrarily 1 minute is 60 seconds and 1 second is like the blink of an eye, right? Or if you're in school, a very slow old man blink, because school takes forever. And then we got the atomic clock, where scientists are trying to get a second down to like nanoseconds, like measuring time. Like, what is time? I mean, time doesn't really exist. It doesn't. And we'll have to explore that in another presentation. But Just so you know. And look at the sunrise right here. Isn't that interesting? This is taken up in the north. Up in the north right there. Very, very interesting light reflection right there. Okay. Spatial relationships. Let me move myself here. Talking about dimensions here and shapes. I mean, this should all be, I'd hope this should be elementary right here. So when we talk about a shape and dimensions, right? Let's just take a simple square. With 0 degrees of dimensions, you're going to have a dot. I mean, really, you shouldn't have anything there, but we'll just say dot. With 1 degree with a one-dimensional depiction of a square, you'll just have a vertical line. That's it. You can only see a length or a width, right? You don't know. All you got is a line. But in 2 dimensions, you got a length and a width, so you can actually see the square, right? When you put 3 dimensions, you got, I'm backtracking with the axis. With 2 dimensions, you have an X and a Y axis, if you will, right? That's what mathematically and scientifically the system we've used, and it works. Have they overcomplicated it? Yes, I think they really have. But for simplistic sake, an X and a Y axis. And then when you go to a 3-dimensional, a square becomes a cube 3-dimensionally. And you can see the depth. You got that Z axis, so you can see the depth. And then a square in 2D becomes a cube in 3D. A triangle in 2D becomes a pyramid in 3D. A circle in 2D becomes a sphere or a ball or a sphere. And then a rectangle in 2D can become a cylinder from 2D to 3D, right? Because if your oatmeal box in 2D is going to be a rectangle, right? But we know our oatmeal box is a cylinder. And I like this chart here. So, you got your positive, negative, positive, your negative, and then positive, right here. Like in 6th grade, we had to plot those things, right? But for the most part, in real world, we just use positive, your X and Y. And then you got your Z plane right here. So if y'all can imagine, I might make this a podcast, upload it to Podbean. Just imagine you're an X, Y, and Z axis, 3 dimensions right there. We got our spatial relationships. Space, it takes up space. And then 2 objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. It's true. Learned that one from a Marine in the oil field when they were trying to put a bunch of wiring and valves and nonsense on this cement unit in this little console cabinet. It's like 2 objects you can't put a hydraulic hose here with this valve and all this electrical wire. It's not gonna work. It's true. And then kind of finishing up our little physics talk here, the periodic table of elements. Now this is important. It's very important. It's like, Micah, I know, just bear with me. But we need to know this. We need to, as Christians, we need to know this. Yes, we do. All right, so like iron, it's a rare, it's a raw earth element, right? And scientists have really over scienced iron, Fe, like Santa Fe, Santa iron Santa. They've given it an atomic number, a standard atomic weight, all this stuff, right? But it's a metal, it's a transition metal. And then you got your gases, your noble gases, right? Your inert gases like argon and helium. Like we know there's like helium. it's lighter than air, right? Air is mostly nitrogen. Helium is lighter than nitrogen, so helium is going to float up, right? That's why your balloon, like when you take it to the store and they blow it up with helium, it wants to float away because the helium is lighter than air. Now, if you take a balloon and you just blow it up with your mouth, all you're doing is just compressing the air around it. And so it's going to want to sink. It doesn't float, right? Because the helium is not lighter, or the helium is lighter than air. The nitrogen compressed is denser than the nitrogen around the balloon. So things like that. We got our metals, and yes, and all this is found in the earth. All this is found in the earth. And of course, you can combine like NaCl, sodium right here, and Cl, chlorine, sodium and NaCl. When you combine those, that's table salt, right? Sodium chloride is the name for table salt. I'm no expert on the periodic table of elements, but I do know it's real. And I use this in my daily life with, acids and stuff, what have you. And then this one, our halogens, our noble gases, our rare earth elements, and like gold, Au, let me see, gold and silver. Ag is silver, Au is gold. Rare earth elements, like what's rare earth? I don't know. I'll tell you what, common people will never deal with rare earth elements. The government's already seized them. They have, right? That's why when Jesus, it's good to know when you really do believe the Bible and you study it, it's like, man, I'd like to see what plutonium does, or I'd like to have some platinum. The government's got the monopoly on all that because it's in titanium, because it's such a great metal. The government uses it for all their NASA rocket launches. Like they've got the monopoly on it. But Jesus says we will inherit the earth, right? That's going to be ours. And then carbon, a very interesting element. And I've spoken with a chemical engineer in Alaska, and I asked him, like, how do we know that these elements have so many protons and neutrons? And he said spectrometry. And it's like, I think in 8th grade we learned about spectrometry, but with the element of carbon, the atomic number of 6, it's got 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons within its 3 valence rings. 666 is encoded in this plane we live on. Very interesting. 666. Where have we heard that before? Revelation 13. And it says that it's the number of a man. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Now that we've got that out the way, we're going to get into it. We'll be reading. I don't know why I put 1 through 18. There's 31 or 33 verses in Genesis 1. Give me 5 seconds here. God's audience. 31 verses. I don't know why. I was thinking of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes 1 only has 18 verses. All right, so everyone break out your King James Bible. Here we go. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Just stop right there. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Okay. Very nice. If you're reading this for the first time and you really want to understand the Bible, it's like very first sentence. First sentence. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. But it sounds simplistic, right? But it's very profound if you really dig into it and read between the lines. And we're not just making stuff that's not there. Like, it's there. when it says in the beginning, time, when, the beginning. And we know with time, there's past, present, and future. I mean, time is very philosophical, but we all agree that there's, in times past that happened yesterday, that's past. So the present is right now. Right now is the present. We're looking at now. And the future is things yet to happen, time that hasn't come yet, right? In the beginning. So we've got time. God was there in the beginning. And what did he created? God created, what did he create? The heaven, space. He created space. Like where did space come from? And I'm not talking about outer space. I'm talking like right here, space, the space that you occupy right now. Space. We know space has a length, height, and a width. It's three-dimensional. It's three-dimensional. The heaven, that's space. And the earth. We know the earth has all those elements. And from third grade, they called it matter. And we know that matter has three states of a solid, liquid, and a gas, right? Like water. Yeah, water is a liquid, steam is a gas, and ice is a solid. And it can easily go back and forth with energy or a lack of energy to freeze, which still takes energy. It can change states, right? And to go with that, like iron and aluminum and brass. I mean, brass is an alloy, but in its found state, iron is a solid. But you put enough energy in there, it's going to turn liquid. Oh yes, you can melt iron and pour it, and you can cast with it. So when you read in the beginning, Genesis 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It's very profound. It is very, very profound. And the earth was without form. So it's talking about the creation of the earth here. That's what Genesis 1 is talking about. It was without form and void. And so if you look up the word void in Webster's, void, it uses the word empty or a vacuum. Empty, emptiness, or a vacuum, right? There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like it's not there. The earth is not there. It's void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. So there's no light. There's the face of the deep. So there's like a nothingness, if you will. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. It's like waters. Okay, so if there's waters, plural. Okay, well, what is water? Hydrogen and oxygen. Dihydrogen monoxide. Two hydrogens and one oxygen. The water is there. How much water? I don't know. But the Bible tells us that it's there. The Bible tells us that the water is there. That I don't know where it came from. I don't know how much. I don't know how much space it took up. I don't know what else is there. I just know it's there. Is it salt water? Is it fresh water? Is it deionized water? Is it tap? Is it city water? Oh. I don't know. The Bible doesn't say. All it says is the water was there. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And that right there is profound in itself. God is not confined to the realm of our earthly spatial dimension that we call Earth. He's outside of it. He's not confined by the laws that are in it. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. And this, so the Spirit of God moved. And if you look up the word moved, if you reference that, hovered above. God's a spirit being. He's immaterial. The, our laws of nature and physics don't apply to him. But the water is there, that, and there is no earth in the face of the deep. The face of the deep. So, where'd God come from? He's everlasting. The Bible tells us from everlasting to everlasting when you read your King James. If you read other versions, the Bible's going to tell you from old. Well, I mean, old has a beginning, everlasting doesn't. Moving on, verse 3. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And it's like, okay, getting back to some physics here. And God said, when you say something, what are you doing? You're speaking. So there's sound energy and then light. So from sound, light came. And there's an experiment done. You can look it up. A scientist took a jar of water and they put frequencies through it, like sound frequencies, and they were able, with sound frequency, like you got a jar of water, a clear mason jar of water, they focus some high intensity frequencies in that water, and it started vibrating the molecules of the hydrogen and the oxygen inside the water, and they were able to get light emitting from the water, hydrogen and oxygen. They were able to get light emitting from it. God said, he spoke, let there be light. And there was light. So light is immaterial. It's not like you can just get a handful of light. How much does light weigh? Light doesn't weigh any, it has no weight. It's energy. It's energy. Just to speak, there has to be energy. And so if there's water, the face of the deep, obviously there was something there. I don't know what, but when God spoke and said, let there be light, and there was light, the energy that was created and the mind about it, right? It's fascinating. It really is fascinating. And going back to that chart that has the energy scale, the visible light energy, there's that visible light energy. And I find it interesting, if you read the Bible, when Moses on Mount Sinai, when he was getting the 10 Commandments, Moses said, Lord, I want to see your face, when God came down to Mount Sinai. And then what did God say? No man can see my face and live. Maybe God is so full of energy that just the mere sight of, like, just seeing that, like taking that energy head on, is going to kill us, because God is so much energy. It's like, Mike, is God an energy? Is that what you're trying to say? No, I'm not saying God is an energy like this pantheistic force. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying God is God, right? He's above us. He's powerful. And there's some wisdom behind it. Let there be light, and there was light. Verse 4. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So darkness is an absence of light. Darkness is an absence of light. There's no energy in darkness. And so God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God divided the light from the darkness. So right there, we've already got some like light and dark, and he divided the two. It's and I'm not an engineer, I'm no scientist, I'm no physicist, but there clearly in our known world there is a division of light and dark. If you go into a dark room and turn on a flashlight, there's the light is here and the darkness is all around, right? And there's a division, there's a dividing of the two. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. All right. This is not the creation of the sun and the moon. This is not. This is just God separating light from darkness. That's it. And it was good, separating the two. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And I was reading a book, Jesus and the Jewish Feasts. And if I remember correctly, I wish I was supposed to bring that so I can reference it. In Jewish calendars, they start their day in the evening, whereas in America, in the West, we start our day in the morning. But basically, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, that was the first day. So all this immaterial energy was created. Day 2. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Okay, slow down. All right, a firmament. What is this firmament? It's the sky, but if you look up the word firmament, and I encourage you all to do so, but don't take my word for it. Dun, 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 dun. Reading rainbow. When you look up the word firmament, it'll say vault or an expanse, right? Okay, well, when you look up at the sky, I'd say that's an expanse. Yes, there's space. There's space. There's a big space, an expanse of space in the sky. And it's interesting when you vault. A lot of Bibles use the word vault. The NIV uses the word vault. I don't endorse the NIV. I used to read it as a teenager, but I'm King James because I believe it to be more theologically inspired and accurate to the real word of God. That's my thoughts. But even the word vault is very interesting. Look up the word vault. It's going to say an arched structure. An arched structure. When you think of an arched structure, an arch, something like, oh, I don't know, a dome. Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. So there's 2 types of waters. I don't have a solid answer as of yet on this, but I just know that the Lord wanted to separate with a physical structure, if you will, a sky. He wanted to separate the waters from the waters. He wanted to separate this space right here. He wanted this space separate from the rest of the space. And God made the firmament or sky. God made the sky and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And the Bible doesn't claim, it doesn't have to, I don't know, it says, the Bible's not trying to convince you of it. The Bible just says it was so. It makes an absolute. And it was, there's that philosophical term, an absolute. And it was so. Like it is what it is. That's how it was. God divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So if you think about that, well, if there's waters above the firmament, so above the sky, there's more water. That's biblical cosmology right there. That's what the Bible says. But a lot of people have been indoctrinated in the public school system and academia and the universities to accept a heliocentric Copernicus model of this round Earth orbiting the sun. So when you say there's water above the sky, they can't comprehend it because it's a vacuum. It's space, it's a vacuum. And we know water in a vacuum evaporates off. It's like, this is why people can't accept this. This is why I gave that little disclaimer. People cannot accept what the Bible, like, y'all are, look, I'm just telling you what the Bible says. People that don't accept it are denying the Bible, is what they're doing. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So day 2, God makes the sky. Who made the sky? Where'd the sky come from? It's not a, product of this Bang theory. That's so ridiculous. God made the sky, and he separated the water below from the waters above. Day 3. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let dry land appear. And it was so. It's an absolute statement. It was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. So if y'all are watching this slideshow right here, here it comes. You got the waters gathered together, and dry land appeared. Dry land appeared under the firmament. One more time. So I got this, and hey, this is PowerPoint. For PowerPoint and a little software program that just edits pictures, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good right there. So you got, imagine this little snow globe, if you will, with water at its base, like ocean water, and then land appears. Yes. One more time. I'm proud of that. I did. Okay. And the dry land appeared, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth. And so we got the earth and the seas, land and the sea. Still on day 3 here. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed is in itself after his kind. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning, 3rd day. That right there, and I personally have studied deep into this. A seed, a fruit tree. Like, why did the Bible go, put fruit trees in there? If you ever studied a seed, go look up apple seeds. And I said this in my image of God presentation. I'll have to redo that. The sound was terrible. Seeds have DNA. There is genetic code in a seed, an apple seed. There's genetic code in there. The mind of God. And with that genetic code, it says after his kind. And the tree and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. So an apple is of this, going back to our genus, class, kingdom, phylum, order, class, genus, species, right? You got the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, and then it gets down. Oh man, I wish I would have put that on there. We learned about this in 7th grade, right? The kingdom. So within that apple tree, you got that apple seed that produces after its kind, and you have an orange seed, an orange tree that produces oranges after. Well, an orange is a citrus. An apple is not a citrus. I don't know the name of the apple. I forget. But you cannot. You have to graft. Like if you plant an apple seed from an apple, a Granny Smith, a green Granny Smith apple. If you plant that seed into the ground, you're not going to get a Granny Smith. You have to graft off something from the parent tree into that one, and then you get your apple, your Granny Smiths. Like, this is well established. Farmers and orchard owners know this. So if you try to, so what happens if you graft an orange tree to an apple tree? You're not going to get an orange apple. You're not, because it's two different ones. And this, like, I'm trying to keep it real simple here. Maybe I'll go in depth and detail hereafter, but I've really looked into this. You cannot cross two different seeds that are of the not that are of different kinds. And I'll just leave it at that. And the evening and the morning, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, that was the third day. So we got the land, we got the trees that showed up, the different kinds of trees that bear fruit after its kind. And then look, oh my goodness, if this doesn't like make you happy, if anything, filled with the apples, the bananas, the lemons, the oranges, the strawberries, the grapes, the watermelons, the cucumbers, the carrots, the pineapples, the grass, the green, the lush, how lush and plentiful and bountiful. There was no disease at this point. Like, everything, like, if God planted a garden, you think it's gonna get, a bunch of squash vine borers killing all your, no, it's gonna be the juiciest, plumpiest, freshest fruit you've ever eaten. So you got this. So we've got this environment that God created. He took this space, this real estate, if you will, built a sky around it, made land appear, and now he's filling it up with green, beautiful, good things. And God's okay, and that was day 3. Day 4. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so, an absolute, it was so. And this is where, again, people cannot accept this. They cannot. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And in verse 17, this is where people just don't accept it, or they disagree with the cosmology of the Bible here, biblical cosmology. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, in the firmament, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So we got the earth right there, and he makes the sun and the moon and the stars, and God set them in the firmament. And how do we know it's the sun and the moon? What great light rules the day? The sun. I don't think anyone's going to disagree. And if you disagree with that, go outside in the middle of July for an hour and tell me what's ruling the day during that time, that 1 hour time outside. What has power over you? The sun. That's what's ruling the day. And at night, we've got the moon. And it's very interesting, the moon ruling the night. All these horror movies in American cinema, anytime there's a horror movie, it's usually taking place at night, and they're always quick to get us, some footage of the moon, maybe some clouds rolling around it. You'll hear some werewolves howling. The moon. Why the moon? Because the moon rules the night. It is like the master of the night. That's the moon right there. So God made the stars, and he made the sun and the moon, and he placed them in the firmament. In. He made the sky. They're in the sky. Day 5. And God's so now we've got this perfect, self-sustaining, if you will. I don't know if that's appropriate to say, but we got this perfect environment. You got green grass, hills, all, dirt, soil, plants photosynthesizing from the sun. Yeah, that's happening on day 4 right there. It's like perfect. It is perfect. But it's just like it's like this perfectly built house, this mansion of a house, but no one lives in it yet. No one lives in it yet. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And if verse 20 right there doesn't let you know that the firmament is sky, the open firmament of heaven, I can't help you. And God created great whales and every creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth." And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. So God creates these, and I love how the Bible just says he created great whales. What's the biggest animal that we know of? The blue whale. I don't think we have found anything bigger than the blue whale. We found some big creatures, but I think the blue whale, hands down, is the biggest. And it's almost like God, not so much showing off, but it's like, hey, look at this. Look at this grand a blue whale. It's a very impressive creature. It's so big. And the ocean is so big. And it's just, swimming, jumping out of the water, splashing. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And the Bible, it's like the first thing he did is make the great whales. And then it's like, hey, you got all this space. Let's fill it with these birds right here. The mind of God. It's like there's order and some wisdom behind it. And he blessed them, saying, and this is God speaking to the animals, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters and the seas." It's like these animals, they listen to the voice of God like it was commanded to them, hey, reproduce, make babies, fill the earth, multiply, fill this place up. We got plenty of space, fill it up. And the evening and morning were the 5th day. And so you got the blue whale, the killer orcas, killer whales, the cute little sea turtles, right? The penguins. Look at them. Gordon here. The penguins. I mean, like, look at that. If that's not the mind of God right there, these the mom and dad emperor penguins with their cute little baby penguin. It's so cute. Oh, it's so cute. And God commanded these penguins, hey, make babies, right? Some animals give live birth, some animals lay eggs. That's the mind of God right there. That's the mind of God. And snakes lay eggs, birds lay eggs. A bird is not a snake. And we have never seen a snake lay an egg and a bird pop out, or we've never seen a bird lay an egg and a snake pop out or hatch out. We've never seen that. They reproduce after their kind. Now you might have, I mean, like dogs, a wolf, a fox, and a dog is a dog. You might have a big dog and a little dog, but it's still a dog. Variations in the kind is not a problem. It's not an issue with creation. I don't like the term macro and micro evolution. It's a variation in the kind. We have never seen a kind of animal reproduce a different kind of animal. We've never seen it. It's never been observed. Never been observed. Make sure I cover all this. Yeah. And then all that. And then something else. I thought of this. Fish fish live under the water. They live in the water, under the water. They have gills. And I don't know exactly how gills work, but apparently they pump or pulse the water through, and they're able to get the oxygen, because water is hydrogen and oxygen. They're able to get the oxygen from the air through their gills, right? What about whales? What about whales and turtles? They don't have gills. They breathe air. And so wouldn't you say that a whale, because it breathes air, isn't really suited for its environment? So how do you explain it living in the sea? It's the mind of God. That's what that is. That's the mind of God. But I'll leave that alone right there. And then the birds. Oh, so beautiful. And I was funny. I put a bunch of flightless birds. Flightless birds. Like, a turkey is a bird. Is it flying through the open heaven, the open firmament of heaven? No, but it's still a bird. It's still a bird. An ostrich. An ostrich sure isn't flying, but it's still a bird. And I'll be honest, I don't know if flamingos can fly. I think they can. I mean, they're not going to migrate. I don't. I'm embarrassed to say I don't know if a flamingo can fly. If you know if a flamingo can fly, let me know. But the eagle can fly. The hummingbird. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about something amazing? A hummingbird. That thing, it doesn't fly, it floats. It defies gravity, if you will. Like, if you ever seen, I've got a hummingbird feeder, and the wife, she sees it, she's got some videos of it. Like, they just, like, it's amazing how they move. It's just something else. And we got ducks. Ducks fly, right? It's like a bird and a fish. A bird that lives in the water. It's a birdfish. Them ducks right there. Sparrows, little sparrows. The ostrich, the flamingos, the doves, the turkeys, the eagles, the toucans, and the hummingbirds. And if you look at a toucan, I think that's a toucan, whatever bird that is. They're all different, like the sparrow. It's a tiny little bird with a tiny little beak, And then you look at a toucan, it's got a big beak, right? And then if you look at a duck, it's got a bill, but it's not like hard, keratin, material like a toucan's beak is, right? And they're all what God wanted them to be. They're all amazing creatures. And so we got the whale jumping out of the water, and the eagle soaring in the open heaven, the open firmament. That's the fifth day. And the sixth day is, this is, whew. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And so when you look at the animals of the land, of the earth, let me move myself here. I'm going to put myself right there, right at the foot of the croc. We got an alligator or a crocodile. Honestly, I don't know what the difference is. All I know is the croc and saltwater crocs, bad. Like those things are top predators with their death roll. The crocodile, that's a whole lot different than a giraffe. Two completely different animals. The elephant, an amazing creature, definitely different from a giraffe and a crocodile. The gorilla, the silverback gorilla, it's a beautiful animal. I mean, look at that thing. I think it's beautiful. And the power that the gorilla has. And then the creeping thing. If you don't think a snake is a creeping thing, then you probably own a tarantula too, which is just as creepy. Oh, the rhino, the cow, and bears. A lot of different different a panda bear, a koala bear, and a grizzly bear. Are they not all bears? They're different kinds of bears, but a bear nonetheless, right? The rhino with its horn. A rhino has one horn, an elephant has two horns, or tusks, if you will. Why is it an elephant tusk and a rhino horn? Isn't it a tusk? Huh? And then I put in here a brontosaurus. And it's like a dinosaur, Mike. Yes, yes, for heaven's sakes, yes. When God created everything, he made everything. I'll take by faith that the bones, now I'm not going to say all the bones are real, right? I'm sure they've made filler bones to fill in for the sake of a museum exhibit. But I really do think that they found some bones of dinosaurs. I really do. So it's like, well, like I said in my image of God presentation, bones don't decay, they don't degrade. Bones are there. They don't break down like skin and organs do. And also talked about in the body presentation. So if we've got bones, well, they got there somehow. They belong to something. They came from a creature that was once alive. Now, with the bone, you can't tell how old it is. You just know that it was there, and that's where the bone washed up. You can't even say it definitively died here because it could have got washed away, some way, somehow. But there's evidence of a creature from them bones. And yes, God made the dinosaurs. I'm telling you, God made the dinosaurs. So all these, the kangaroo, that's another beautiful creature, a kangaroo. It's got the little pouch that it puts its little baby kangaroo in, the Joey. What other creature has that? All these different creatures, this variety of creatures. This is the mind of God. Oh, let me move myself here. And this is what makes day 6 so paramount. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. Verse 27 right there says a lot. That a bunch of liberals and people cannot accept Genesis 1 verse 27. Male and female created he them. I'm just reading this is the mind of God right here. Male and female, they reproduce after their kind. There's no third gender. Everyone has red blood. All the creatures have red blood. The fish of the sea have red blood. People have red blood. The animals have red blood. It is design, evidence of design, order. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you, and this is God speaking to man. He already told the creatures to be fruitful and multiply. And God says to man, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree, which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So the original diet of man was a vegetarian plant-based diet. It was never to eat meat. And verse 30, a lot of people miss this. This is why people that reject the Bible and buy into this Charles Darwin theory, they cannot accept this right here, because here's what the Bible says. I'm going to read it slow. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. So it's hard to imagine a lion eating straw. Or, a lot like what does an elephant eat? An elephant eats leaves from a tree. What does a lion eat? It eats meat. But that's not the original design that it was. A lion ate right next to the elephant the same leaves of the tree, every green herb for meat. And it was so. There was no death before sin. When God created everything on the sixth day, lions weren't hunting zebras, orcas weren't hunting seals, sharks weren't hunting seals. What do the sea animals eat? Seaweed. I don't know what else they would have. Seaweed, right? That's what they were eating. And God saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very good. And evening and the morning were the sixth day. And that's biblical cosmology right there. And a little bit of anthropology too, right? There's like so many directions you can go with this right here, but I'm just trying to focus on creation. A lot of people they cannot accept that a lion ate straw. It's like, what do you mean the lion wasn't hunting the zebra? Well, that would be death. There was no death before sin, because it was good. Is a lion hunting a zebra good? If a lion's going to hunt a zebra, wouldn't the lion hunt man? Right? No, that was not the design. It was very good. And the evening and morning were the sixth day. And I purposely stopped it at the sixth day right there. So we got our perfect earth right there. We got the elephant, what is that? The water buffalo with her calf right there. The brontosaurus roaming the earth. The giraffe right there. And then the crowning achievement is man. I moved myself here. Hang on. This mouse disappears. I hate that. The crowning achievement is man right there. That is God's crowning achievement. Man has dominion over all the animals. Man is above them by God. Man is higher than the animals. And so here it is. There's man, male and female, man and woman in this perfect, very good creation. The water is clean, the air is clean. There's no corruption of any kind. It's perfect. And this, fellow Christians, anybody listening, God's audience, when Jesus says, I make all things new, This is the hope that we have. Like we are going to inherit the earth. This is what we're going back to. It's just going to be a bumpy ride to get there first. But this is it. If this doesn't give you hope, I can't help you. Like I want a pet tiger. I love cats. I think I said that in my other video, the Pinocchio video. I like cats. I want me a pet tiger. I do. Go and ride a brontosaurus. It's like, how awesome is that going to be? And then if you look at this, I like this one. There's Adam right there. And if this doesn't make you happy, I don't know what to tell you. There's Adam right there. And he's, a male lion with its big mane. Just, come here, you big kitty. Like, oh man, that's so awesome. And you got this perfect paradise. All these animals right here. And he's got his wife Eve. And it's perfect. Like, just think of how much fun and enjoyment Adam had with Eve. And like, there's no one else. It's them. They have no stress, no worries. They don't got to worry about what's for dinner. They don't got to worry about dishes. They eat the apple. They eat the apple. And if you don't like the core, you toss it over there. It'll degrade. It'll be just fine. And there he is, sitting down with Eve. There's this beautiful roses right here, and he makes her a little headband with the flowers. And it's just like, oh man, just think of how perfect that would have been. That was God's creation for man. He made man to enjoy this. This is why we are created. We're the world we live in today is a junkyard. It is a cesspool junkyard. You can quote me on that. But this was the creation. Perfect. All right, so quick and easy here. the 3 fastest cartoons and the easy button. Quick and easy, just to recap. Day 1, God creates the immaterial world. Light, energy, laws of physics, and the intangible, like order, the opposite of chaos, from nothingness. Day 2, God makes the sky, our first physical structure, if you will, of our physical world. And God separates the earth from the heaven. There's that space with that vault, that physical structure. And it's funny, an arch is a very strong structure. I find that interesting too. Maybe God knew something. Day 3, God gathers the water under the sky to one place. He makes dry land appear, and God covers the earth. God makes grass cover the earth. Trees grow and bear fruit after their kind, and all the plants and all the herbs with the seeds are on the earth, and God created upon the earth. So we got that right there. Day 4, God creates the sun and the moon and the stars and places them in the firmament to give light upon the earth. Day 5, God creates all the creatures of the sea and all the birds of the air. And day 6, God creates all the animals, all the creatures of the earth, of the field, all the giraffe, the dinosaurs, all the cattle and creeping thing after their kind, the lizards and the snakes, the bugs. And then God finishes work with his crowning creation of man after his own image. No other creature is made in the image of God other than man. And God places man in the east in the garden of God, the Garden of Eden. Bam. All right. This has been a Minute Message with Micah, an introduction to biblical cosmology with the first 6 days of creation. Hope you all got something out of this. If you got anything, God bless it. God bless it. All right. Hope you all got something out of this. Y'all are God's audience. And that's all I got for now. I'm going to end this meeting for all.